Hello friends, in today's video we are going to talk about various laptop configuration choices that we all have. I have received so many emails in which people do ask me about different laptop configurations that they would like to buy depending upon different use cases. So this video I've just created for all those users who have different queries, whether 16 GB is good enough, or we should go for 32 GB of RAM, or 256 GB of SSD is good or not. So stay tuned. It's a small video, but would definitely help you to choose different laptop configurations based upon your choices. So the first choice which we have is normally for a layman user. And I have divided primarily the choices into two parts. Normally, people go in for Windows-based or Linux-based machines. The Windows-based machines is a commonly used machines which people can use, especially for the layman users, whether you just want to use it for browsing or other purposes. Normally, for a layman user, if you are going for a Windows-based machines, an Intel Core i5 with an 11th generation processor, which is available right now, is available, it would be good enough. But if you can just wait for some more time, like a couple of weeks or a couple of months, the 12th generation Core i5 would be launched in the mobile processors, and it is a very different architecture that they are going in for, which includes performance cores as well as efficiency cores. So if you can wait, you can just wait for the 12th Gen Core i5. From a memory perspective, 8 GB memory definitely looks fine. It's normally the configuration, but as per my experience with all the web browsing, especially if we are using Google Chrome, or even if you're using Microsoft Edge, which is based upon Google Chrome, 16 GB would definitely be a recommended one, because all the laptops which come nowadays, the memory is definitely fixed. It is soldered onto the hardboard, so it is definitely advantageous, and it gives you a better lifetime of your laptop if you can just go in for a 16 GB memory if your budget permits it around. And from a storage perspective, my personal experience would be 256 GB SSD would make sense. That would definitely help you to store your basic data or anything. And of course, as a normal layman users also, in today's world we are definitely using cloud applications, might be a cloud storage in the form of a Google Drive or OneDrive from Microsoft. So this is a kind of a stuff that Windows-based users can use. If you are looking out for an Apple-based ecosystem, you can definitely use the Apple MacBook Air. This comes with the M1 chip, which is definitely one of the hot topics people are talking about. M1 is definitely changing the way chips are being manufactured, whether it is in terms of performance or battery life or anything. So that's one good choice. 8 GB unified memory is there, but in case you can go in for 16 GB, definitely recommended one. 256 GB of SSD storage, I would recommend 512 GB, as Mac OS Monterey is a pretty big operating system in terms of consuming a space. Even if you download the Mac operating system, the latest one, it roughly comes around like 12 GB or 12.5 GB. So it's a pretty large space that the operating system consumes, and even the updates which would come. So this would be definitely recommended one for the normal layman users. Let's now talk about the developers. If you are a developer and you are using a Windows-based or a Linux-based machine, the preference would definitely be Intel Core i7 11th generation, which is available. But if you can just wait for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, the 12th generation Alder Lake Core i7 is going to be launched. The laptops would be available. From a developer's perspective, normally people say it's 16 GB is good enough, but I normally recommend 32 GB because the kind of the applications machines which we are developing, whether it is working on Dockers and containers or even microservices, they are consuming so much of memory, as well as your browsers, whether you're using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. So that would definitely consume a lot of your memory. In fact, I'm running my laptop on a 32 GB memory specification, and I do use Docker containers or microservices for my work or for my other projects. So I can definitely let you know that this consumes around 50% of memory. So I'm just running a Kubernetes local server on my laptop, and it is a one node cluster, and it just consumes 50% of your memory. So even if I have a 32 gigs of memory, 50% is still consumed. So it's always better to go for the higher specifications if your budget permits, because this would definitely help you in the performance and the working of your overall system, as well as the life of the laptop would always be another aspect that would you like to consider it around. 512 GB SSD from a Windows perspective looks good, but if you can definitely go in for a 1 terabyte, might be you're storing different Docker images or anything, they are going to consume space while running or even while storing it out. So recommended would be 1 terabyte. On Apple's side, I would recommend a MacBook Pro. You would have seen 14-inch or 16-inch. Those were launched in 2021. They have like getting very good reviews or awesome reviews, I would say. 16 GB, as normally developers would say, that's the base RAM you should go in for. But I would still recommend, if you can afford, go in for a 32 gigs. Or 64 GB unified memory, because Apple does provide that option in the Max one. And of course 1 terabyte definitely comes as a base default storage for the developer's machine. So these are the two choices. Probably if you have whether you use a Windows based or a Linux based, you can dual boot those if you're using Windows as well as Linux, or if you're purely using an Apple MacBook Pro, so you can definitely go in for that. I don't have a personal, I would say, my recommendation to go in for an Apple. It purely depends upon what kind of a technology set you are working or anything, but definitely Apple has definitely raised the bar up, and they are definitely making Intel to run for their chips and for other things to be relevant in the market. So if you can afford this kind of a machine like an Apple MacBook Pro, they are quite costly machines. So if you can afford it, these are definitely premium machines. They come at a cost, but they definitely give you value for your money. And even if you're a Windows developer, now Microsoft is giving you all those tools in the form of a cross-platform development. So you can definitely go in for an Apple MacBook Pro if you really want to try it out. The third use case which I wanted to talk about, though they are not typically, I would base it in the form of a laptops. Of course, they are definitely smaller machines, especially the Apple Mac Studio. But with respect to the Surface Studio, which we are going to talk about, it's a bigger machine, like a 27 or 28-inch machine that comes around. So especially for the graphic designers, those who want to work with a lot of graphics or video rendering or anything, from a Windows perspective, Surface Studio 2 is one of the machines that they categorize for that kind of a stuff, which comes with Intel Core i7 11th generation, and you get choices of like 16 gig to 32 gigs of memory, and even you get a dedicated NVIDIA card in that. It definitely comes with 1 terabyte, or you can go to 2 terabytes of storage. From a Apple Mac Studio perspective, they have recently launched a Mac Studio, which is I would say an awesome machine, especially for the graphic designers. You can get a Mac Studio based upon Apple M1 Max or an Ultra chip. An Ultra chip is nothing but rather the fusion of two Max chips. You have an option of getting 32 gigs, 64 gigs, or even like 128 gigs of RAM onto that, and the storage would start from 1 terabyte going to 2 terabytes or 4 terabytes of machine. My experience with the different people around in the industry, all those graphic designers, they definitely tend to go in for Apple based products because they have a better compatibility or a different kind of softwares that are more suited towards supports those kind of applications or work culture. So but if you really want to try out certain touch based Windows based machines, you can definitely try out the Surface Studio 2. So they are not categorized as purely laptops, but still I wanted to take a use case of the graphic designers, those who really want to work on something like a 4K videos or graphic works in their day-to-day life. I hope this video has going to be kind of help you around in deciding what kind of a laptop configurations you can choose. Primarily there are three kinds of people. One is the layman users, those who are not very heavy or professional users. Second is the developers who are professional users, and the third category I normally try to divide is the graphics or video editor kind of a people profile. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. For any other questions, consultancy or training, these are my email IDs. Just shoot me an email. Hope to see you in another video. Thank you. Stay blessed.